Welcome back to the 25 Days of Puppy Christmas Card Ideas, where we're helping you decide what you're going to do for your Christmas cards with your dog this year. 24 ideas for your social media leading up to the big Christmas card reveal. This one is easy. It's outside and all about the red plaid.
The 25 Days of Puppy Christmas Card series can be done with one or many dogs, created with a traditional camera or your phone, done in your house or outside, and range from elegant and refined to fun and quirky, so there's a fit for everyone. And don't forget, these photo shoot ideas also make for great social media advent calendars, even if they aren't all going to be used on your Christmas cards. If you're using a traditional camera, I recommend you set up a remote shutter release through a clicker or an app on your phone so you can take photos from where you're posed. If you're using your phone, I recommend you set it to cinematic video and take screenshots of the best frames after, since pups tend to move around a lot and you don't want to stress over missing the shot. Each of these episodes is designed for a specific card template that will link in the caption, but you can use this on whatever template works best for you.
What you want to do is grab a blanket, something that's going to be a little bit more on the neutrally side, or you want to go with a plaid either that matches or something that kind of stands out like the black against the red. And you're just going to bring your dog outside, put them in a plaid red bandana, and you're going to wear your red plaid, and all you have to do is pose with your puppy. You can play, you can pose with the camera, you can be looking away, you can interact, they can lay down, they can sit up, you can lay down over them. There's tons of ways that you can be doing this in order to get your pictures. Then you're going to drop it into your template.
Whatever photo editing platform you are going to be using, and we're going to start with our local retouching. So if we need to fix any shadows under the eyes or stray pieces of fur on your clothing or on your dog, you are going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to real quick do this for me. So I'm going to zoom in just a little bit, and I am going to actually grab my clone tool, 28% opacity, and then I am going to grab just the skin on my forehead and just kind of soften some of those shadows because I was out in the harsh sun for this one. I might actually want to sharpen those eyes a little bit because this was a cell phone photo. It was not a real professional photo on my fancy camera. And so I'm just going to sharpen my dog's eyes and nose. I actually want to enhance the catch light in her eyes. So you can see we've got one on the left side here, but not so much on the right side. You can see just a teeny little dot there. I am going to want to fix that. So I'm going to grab my clone tool, and you can do this on a lower opacity. So I'm actually going to raise it up just a little bit, around 60%, but it is going to vary photo to photo. And then I'm just going to make it about the size of that catch light. I'm going to hold down my option key to select that section. And then I am just going to softly paint that in here. Oh, I didn't hit it just right. Maybe a little bit lower. Now it's not the right location, so you may have to just try this just a couple of times to kind of paint that in there. And that's too dark, so I'm actually going to remove some of that opacity, go down to like 40%. And I don't love the location of that, so I'm going to try it again. Sometimes with catch lights, it's just easier to paint it in, but sometimes we like to clone it. So now you can kind of see that's a little bit better, but I still don't particularly love it. So I'm just testing where I can be putting some of that catch light. Sometimes it's not always in the exact same place. Sometimes it has to be higher or lower. It really just depends on where the light is. So you can kind of see how that balances out just a little bit more. You do want to find the correct location for this, and so sometimes that means, there we go, you just have to try it a little bit harder. And if you do this on a duplicate layer, so if you duplicated that layer and you did that, you could do it at full opacity and then just reduce the opacity of that over top of it, and that would save you a lot of that time and effort. So we've got that there. I'm going to zoom back out for this. Whoop. It's moving back in. There we go. So now I want to do some of my color retouching. I'm going to come in and I'm going to grab a brightness and contrast panel. I am going to pull this up. And depending on what you need, you may need to pull the brightness down, pull the brightness up. I tend to photograph kind of on the bright side, so sometimes I have to pull it down just a little bit. You can kind of see how that grounds it a little bit more. But one thing that I do want to do is I want to make the background a little bit blurrier. So I'm going to duplicate my layer. I'm going to come up to filter. I'm going to go down to blur and to Gaussian blur. From here, I am able to Gaussian blur the entire image. So it depends on how much I want it to be blurred behind me, depending on what I want that focal light length to look like. That's pretty good. That might be a little too harsh, but I'm going to start with that and I can back off the opacity when I need to. So I'm going to go ahead and I am going to leave that in there. And there's a lot of different ways you can do this. We've shown you lots of different ways to do this on the other episodes. All I'm going to do is put a layer mask over it and hit Command-I to invert. So I removed it. Now on a soft round brush on 100% opacity white, I'm going to start painting that in behind me. If I need to, if I want to, I can come onto my normal layer and I can click Select Subject. And that's going to highlight me and my dog. I don't want the grass here to be getting this as well. So I am going to just grab my lasso tool and right around there, I'm just going to add all that in, and then I can retouch that after. That just kind of protects this area. You're going to have to go up and hit the inverse button so that it only allows you to paint in that other area. So now I'm just going to come in and I'm just going to real fast go over all of this, and you can kind of see how it blurs that very nicely. When I remove that, now we can kind of see, is it too harsh? Is it good enough? You can see that there's a line there that I'm going to have to play with. So this is actually a little harsher than I wanted. So I'm going to lower my opacity just a little bit. Not a ton, but I'm going to lower it just a little bit. Now we have to deal with those lines in there. So on a soft round brush, on 100% opacity, I'm going to go through the rest of that little line there, but then I'm going to back it off. So I just want to make sure I've got that nice even line. Now things further away are going to be more blurry. Your phone, your camera, your whatever is going to do some of that, but not all of it depending on what device you're using. So, you know, the trees are closer than these houses in the background. I could go in and I could fix those if I wanted. Really, I'm just kind of working on this line here for the purpose of this video. I'm going to back down my opacity. I'm going pretty low. I want to go into the 20s for this one. And on black, I am then going to remove some of this. So I'm just enabling little bits of that fence to be a little more seen. Some of the trees. That's even a lot on the opacity. Look at that. So I might actually lower that opacity even more. And then I can go back in, and anything that's too much, I can just tap many times on it to kind of make it work a little bit more to what I wanted it to be. So I'm just going to come in, and I'm going to just brush over anything that I don't particularly love. I can kind of make the grass a little bit of that. And that's another thing. You don't have to just work on that one horizon line. You can actually bring it down into it as well. You can even do in the foreground. So if you really want it to be specific to what it would be naturally, you have to remember that anything in the foreground is also going to be equally as blurry. So the closer it is to the camera, the more it's going to affect that blurriness. So anything in the back, blurred. Anything up close, also going to be blurred. So I'm just going to come in, and now we've got that focal length here where we're really focused on this plane. I'm going to lower my opacity back down, and I'm going to do a second layer right in there. So now it's starting to see that anything on this plane here, where my dog is, where I am, this part of the blanket, that's all clear. Anything that's too close to the camera or too far away from the camera is going to be that blurriness. Now, with this, you can, of course, change your saturation and your hue levels. You can change all of those things. I kind of like this. I might actually go in and do a little bit of brightness and contrast to tweak that just a little bit more. And my face is kind of on the bright side, so I might actually come in and just lasso around my face, bring down the brightness and up the contrast. And we don't want it to look flat and dulled with the coloring, so we can't go too much with it. But now you see how it kind of grounds it a little bit more. That just looks a little bit less like, oh, she's a ghost. And we're going to just add that in there. We can add it onto the arm if needed, as long as it's not like flattening that skin tone. And then, of course, if we just want to tweak the hair, we've talked about how to do dodge and burn to tweak your hair. We actually have videos on how to do that in Photoshop over on my main channel, which you can check out if you would like. And for now, I'm just going to use just a little bit of contrast in here, and you can kind of see how that's just making it a little more shiny. But that's kind of the image that we're going with. Then you're going to add your overlay to your image. Now, I love this because it focuses on that it's Christmas. It's got all those words associated with Christmas. We've got the little holly leaves up here in the corner. I kind of like that because we're sitting on a blanket, we are the focus here, but we've also got those elements in the foreground, elements in the background. It really just kind of grounds it. It is very much the focus is here. Then you get the kind of Christmas message here. We're not going to do too much up in the corners. We do like to have kind of that asymmetrical vibe here. So I like the holly in one corner. By putting it in two corners, it could potentially be too much. It depends on how you're designing it. But I very much like that we're focusing on just kind of not even necessarily a specific message like we've done in a lot of the other cards that we've created. But this is just Christmas. It is just very modern, very chic, and then it's got those beautiful words that are associated with Christmas. It's very simple, very elegant, very modern, very chic, but still timeless and classic. So you can do something along the lines of that, kind of having a big, blocky, bold letter right beneath you and your dog. and then whatever words you are going to be associating with that, and then just a little detail, just a tiny detail to draw it all together to say, yes, this is designed. This was intentional. This is not just words slapped onto an image. This is an intentional design by having that little element here. And I just kind of like picking a corner, one corner, asymmetrical, make it look really timeless, really classic, really modern as we are creating this.
This one's really nice because you can use it as a single image, timeless, classic, nostalgic feel Christmas card, or you can use it as a multi-window where you're kind of treating it like a photo booth. So smiling and looking at your dog, but also looking at the camera, laying down, sitting up. If you've got a small dog, you can hold the dog up. There's lots of things that you can be doing to get this Christmas card to have that fun, old, classic, nostalgic vibe, but you want to lean into the classic Merry Christmassy type overlays or things that are more on that timeless side, because the red plaid is always going to be that timeless, classic look for you and your dog in your photos. Now, we have 24 other ideas on the YouTube channel. You can check those out using them as an advent calendar leading up to the big reveal of this Christmas card, or this can be one of your advent calendar days leading up to one of the other cards that we've created. Plus, we have daily videos helping you navigate your dog parent life to make sure that you and your pup are living the best lives you possibly can. So follow along for more, and we'll see you in the upcoming episodes.